In this video, I'm going to explain the home office deduction and how to enter it into RealtyXam. So there's a couple different ways to write off a home office. So the first way and the easiest way is to do what's called the simplified method. And what that is you take the total square foot of your home office and you multiply it by whatever the current rate is from the IRS for a home office. And the nice part about this method is that you don't have to keep receipts or anything like that at all. All you got to do is document what the location is for the office, a description of it, and then you get to write it off at whatever the IRS square footage is. So let's say, for example, that I had a home office, a room in my office. Let's say I used one of my bedrooms, and the bedroom was 12 feet by 15 feet, which gives me a total of 180 square feet. And the IRS rate has been $5 per square foot for the last few years, so let's just assume that for our example. In that case, if we took our 180 square feet and we multiplied it times $5, we would get to write off $900 on our taxes for having a home office. The other method, which is a bit more complicated and a little bit more work, but depending on how big your office is and how big your house is, it might actually result in a higher write-off. And what you do in that scenario is, again, you take the total square footage of your home office and then you divide that by the total square foot of your house to get the percentage of your home that you're using for a home office. So in our same example here, we would take 180 square feet, divide it by 2,500 square feet, and we would get 7.2%. And then we take and we multiply that 7.2% by our home expenses, and that gives us our write-off. So in this example, I just kind of made up some numbers here, but let's say, for example, that I wrote off, or that I paid $9,600 in mortgage interest. So you can write off like interest, utilities, property taxes, insurance, security systems. You cannot write off your mortgage principal, just the interest. So in this case, let's say I paid $9,600 this year in interest. I had $4,800 in utilities. So you're talking things like electric, gas, water, whatever other ones that you might have, association, that sort of thing. Then you have property taxes at $5,000, insurance at, my home insurance, say it was $2,000. Let's say I had like a Ring doorbell or something that was $120. So I get a total of $21,520 in my example. If I then multiply that by my 7.2%, my deduction is $1,500 or $1,549. So as you can see, depending on the numbers, it might work out to be better to write off your actual expenses. Now, the only kicker to it is you have to make sure you keep receipts for everything, because you're going to need to substantiate it if you ever got audited by the IRS. Whereas with the simplified method, you don't have to keep your receipts. You just have to document the location of the office, like your bedroom or what have you. Now, if you go to RealtyXam, in order to enter it in here, you're going to have to create a new category for it, because we don't have a category that's set up by default for it. So if you click the More button and you click Edit Categories, click New Category, type in Home Office, and of course you're going to leave it as an expense category. Hit Save. Now, if I want now to go and enter in that expense of the home office, I click New Expense. I can come down here and I can click Home Office, and then put in whatever date is. Usually you want to put like the last day of the year. So let's say I was doing this for the end of 2022, and then you're going to put in whatever that actual amount is. So let's say that I use the simplified method. So I would do $900, and I just leave the vendor blank. And in notes, I could put in here, I could put 180 square feet at $5 per square foot, or at $5, and northwest bedroom or something like that. So some kind of a description for it, and then hit Save. Now, if you were going to use the other method, you could do the same thing. You could put in whatever that was. I think it was $1,544. And you could put, 180 square feet, northwest bedroom, 7.2% of 21,400 or whatever that number was. But again, just some sort of description so the IRS knows how you calculated it. And more importantly, your accountant's going to have to enter it for you when they're doing your taxes. So they also need to know how you calculated it and how you came up with what you did. Hope this helps.